Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys. It goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week we are on issue number 21 of Stormbringer magazine, and we have our second part to our Marsh Crawler slog-off from last week. Now, this is obviously a smaller sprue to go with the nice big sprue here. Obviously, there are a lot of components, so make sure you're reading that build guide very carefully, because you don't want to screw this up, because, I'm not going to lie, these sold out really well, so it'll be hard to find replacement parts. A pretty cool mini though, and definitely one worth having if you were intending to have a Cruel Boys army. Yeah, really good stuff, so pretty damn good there. Into the issue we go though. First off, we're greeted by a practical guide to magic. Now, obviously, magic is very prevalent in the mortal realms. Every creature in the mortal realms is born, lives and dies in a world of magic. While much respect has been afforded to the Azurite schools of sorcery, the magic of the other 7 realms remains an object of some fear to the common people. In this guide, I hope to dispel the notions that magic is dangerous, unstable, and a risk to civilized folk. Now, obviously, the mortal realms, 8 realms of power essentially. So, all of the realms are based on a different wind of magic from Warhammer Fantasy Battles. It goes without saying, obviously you can work it out. All the names are the actual winds of magic from the old Fantasy Battle games, whether they're death magic, aka Shaiish, whether it's the magic of beasts, Gur, whether it was the magic of life, Gairan, whether it was the magic of metal, Chamon, or, you know, the magic of fire, which was Akshi. Obviously, all of them are based on different realms of magic, and that's why each realm has its own uniqueness to it. So, Haish is a realm of light, which is because it was light magic. Azir is known as the Golden Realm because it is based on golden magic, and such like. So, very kind of simple to follow if you know your realms of all your different winds of magic from Warhammer Fantasy. Very easy to kind of understand why magic is so important in the mortal realms, and why each realm is named the way it is. So, fairly simple stuff really. But otherwise, we're going to get more information about magic over the course of the run of the magazine, I imagine, and they'll go through a little bit more, whether it's different magics from different realms, including chaos magic. So chaos magic likes to corrupt, and anybody who is kind of adept to magic can be easily corrupted by chaos. So, yeah, interesting stuff there. Anyway, moving on. We get our build guide, but it's not a regular build guide. This is a how to build, and this is all about technique. So, why this is so late in the run of the magazine, I don't know, in all honesty. This should have been in probably one of the first 2 issues. Technique is very important. If you're going to be clipping out all of these plastic parts, you need to make sure that you're putting these plastic parts to good use and correct use for the minis. This guide walks you through how to do everything, so it teaches you about all the different symbols that they use in the magazine, and are generally used in the actual instructions for most of the kits anyway. So whether it's paint before assembly, whether it has multiple parts, whether it's choice of parts, variants, dry fit and such like, whether you don't need glue, whether you need glue, whether it's push fit, whether it's complete, and even base size is mentioned on here. You will see these symbols a lot, and you will have already seen them a lot over the last 20 issues. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. But otherwise, it teaches you how to use clippers, which obviously it's very straightforward. If you've not done it before, obviously it can be a little bit daunting cutting out all these little plastic pieces. Use clippers. Never use anything other than clippers, because clippers are designed for it. They're spring loaded and they are perfectly kind of made to make sure that you're not having to apply too much pressure to get anything off the sprue. Mold line remover. Now, it is your choice whether you utilize a mold line remover, whether you want to use kind of like an emery board, which you can do, whether you want to use hobby files, whether you want to use just a craft knife or anything like that. Your choice. But removing mold lines is a task nobody enjoys doing, in all honesty. It's time consuming, it's boring, but it does need doing to make your models look really, really nice. Then push fit models. Obviously push fit models can be a bit of a pain in the ass. I won't lie, I don't care for push fit models. Some of them are right ball ache. So the way that push fit models are designed is they just have pegs that fit into holes, and then you push them and that's it. It kind of locks in place. However, the problem with these is the pegs are the perfect size to fit into the holes, but it does not allow for any displacement of air. Air getting trapped underneath them pegs can be a pain in the ass because it stops you from being able to push everything as far as possible. Sometimes the molds are just kind of slightly warped and you can't push the pegs far enough anyway. So some people like to cut the pegs off. Some people like to cut a little gap, a little channel into the hole and then glue it anyway, because in all honesty, gluing it secures it in place. If you are push fitting though, if you do kind of cut into those though, it can make it a little bit easier because then at least it allows somewhere for the air to escape to. Obviously, when you're building stuff, applying too much pressure can end up breaking things. You don't want to do that. So go gently. If you break something, you can generally fix it. You might need to just file the ends down a little bit, then glue it. It can be time consuming, it can be a pain in the ass. So just try your hardest not to break parts is ideally the right way to do things. And then we have utilising your plastic glue. Obviously you don't want to use too much plastic glue. You use too much, it can knacker the model and make it look a bit rough, and you have to do a bit of work to kind of get it into the right place. Not using enough glue is also a bit of an issue. I've done this before in the past when I was a lot younger and not very good at this type of stuff. You didn't really use enough glue to put everything together and pieces would fall off. The worst ones for it were always metal models, in all honesty though, so no, not surprised there. But otherwise, it's very, very easy. In all these guides, they give you a yellow section on all of these models, so the models are always done in a kind of like a white, black and grey. If they give you a yellow highlighted area, that is the area that you should be gluing, because that is the first contact point for the other side of the mini. So definitely follow the instructions, because that can teach you how to paint it up properly. If you do use too much, obviously you can soak it up with a bit of kitchen roll. Just, you know, try not to be careful and get it all over your hands, because some people are allergic to this stuff. And if you're left with some horrible dryness to it, using a mold line remover, craft knife or something like that to remove it can be done. If you have any gaps, if you're using the mold line remover or anything like that, you can kind of fill it with your glue, which sounds a bit weird and counterintuitive, but you can use your glue to fill the gap and then smooth it back over once it's dry. It can work. It does work. I've seen it work. If you want to use other stuff, you can obviously buy good old what's it called, milliput or anything like that, or green stuff, which some people do, but it's far more expensive. Use the glue. In all honesty, it makes life simpler. And then let's move on, shall we? After all the painting technique talk, building technique talk, we've got our painting guide. Our painting guide, very, very, very simple. If you're following the guide, this is actually not too bad of a guide. It works very, very well. Your grots are green, so with these guys, it's not a problem painting them up green, so this will be pretty cool and pretty straightforward. There's not really a lot to it, but there is a lot of detail to the mini. So, utilising your growing knowledge of painting, following these step-by-step guides is actually fairly decent and not too bad. Why not have a crack at it, have a bit of fun? You will have some bits and pieces that are definitely going to need a wash over them at some point. Your marsh crawler Slogoff is going to look horrible in Wraithbone. Once it's got some paint over the top of it, whether I reckon they're going to use contrasts, in all honesty, for it, it will look far, far better. So just got to give it a little bit of time, and then we'll get into a place where it looks a lot better than it does now. So not too bad. Then we move on, we get more cool rules. So obviously, if you collected Mortal Realms magazine, or if you've had a previous version of Age of Sigmar, basically your core rules are very, very similar. However, there are always tweaks to the core rules, so do not go into this thinking you know exactly how to play it, because they may have changed something. So double check your core rules, because this will help you in your games to come. Then we get our good old War Scroll for the Marsh Crawler Slogoth, and he's a bit of a beast, isn't he, really? 12 wounds, that's going to take some taking down, isn't it? Does 4 attacks from the Raking Claws, 4 attacks from the Catcher Nets and Snatcher Sticks, a 4+ to hit on those sticks, 3+ to hit on the Raking Claws. That's some pretty good stats. That's not too bad. You know, Oryx can be a bit of a pain in the backside at times, but that's a pretty good stat stack for the Marsh Crawler Slogoth, so pretty cool stuff. And obviously it teaches you how to utilise some of its special rules, including the Crew Drummer and the Snatcher Crew as well. And then we get our battle for the week. Obviously, our battle, we utilise Knight Arcanum, Gardas, Steel Stole, and 5 Vindicators. Vindictors, should I say. Going up against our Marsh Crawler Shaman, and Marsh Crawler Slogoth, and 10 Gut Rippers. And yeah, just a straight on face to face, beat the hell out of each other and see who wins. Not bad. We do also get a pull out for the armies Ulgu as well here. So for Realm of Shadow, obviously home to many different factions. The main one, the Daughters of Cain. So the Cainite assassins come from here. Marathi, the kind of the Shadow Queen, and her Daughters of Cain, who utilise a lot of their abilities. We have the clans of Eshin, so the assassins from the ranks of the Skaven. Ideneth Deepkin I mentioned here as well. We have the different areas, so the Witch Wall, Hagnar, Misthaven, and such like, mentioned all in these maps, which you don't really see a lot of in a lot of this stuff anyway, so you don't really get a lot of stories about them. So this is a pretty cool section. And obviously the Hedonites, the Slaanesh, and the Darkling Covens are also very well known there. The Darkling Covens are the old Dark Elves as well, from good old Warhammer Fantasy Battles. If you have some of those knocking around, yeah, they're not bad. They're pretty cool. They look dated though, but they're not bad. And then moving on, next week is a paint issue. So issue 22, we get Avalanche Sunset, a nice dusky yellow colour, and we get Griff Charger Grey contrast paint. Griff Charger Grey is pretty handy. It's a grey blue kind of colour. Yeah, it's really nice. I use it on bases more than anything. It works very, very nicely over stone. It kind of gives it a weird kind of bluey effect, which works very nicely. And then issue number 23, we get back to our Stormcast Eternals. We get our Lord Aquila, so a Griff Charger riding Stormcast Eternal, a slightly older model as well, but a really cool one. I genuinely like this model. It's a nice kit. The Griff Chargers always seem to be in very similar poses, in all honesty, which always weirds me out, but it's a really, really nice model. Obviously, painting it up like that, I'm not going to be doing that, but I am looking forward to getting it and having another crack at another Griff Charger, because I've enjoyed painting the ones previously. So, all in all, really, really good stuff. A lot more good stuff to look forward to as well. Obviously, though, if you like your Age of Sigmar stuff, it's worth checking out the Age of Sigmar good old Realms of Ruin game coming from Frontier Games in the near future. The beta weekend was last weekend. I have done a quick little video about my thoughts and opinions on it. We're including some gameplay. By all means, go check it out. I'd love you to. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments. If you'd like me to see the occasional gameplay video on Warhammer games, let me know as well, because I might be able to do it. But otherwise, thank you very, very much for watching. I'll see you sometime soon. Bye bye now.